Trump's New York legal problems finally hit home this week. President Donald Trump's legal woes are hitting closer to home. This week New York affirmed what's been mere speculation until now. Law enforcement in the state, where Trump has long based his business, is starting civil and criminal investigations that are well beyond the president's federal control. Those may lead to these. For almost 2 years the spotlight's been on special counsel Robert Mueller's Washington-centered investigation of an alleged conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia to tilt the results of the 2016 election in the president's favor. New York's new Attorney General kicked off a busy week Monday by issuing to Trump's lenders, including Deutsche Bank AG, as part of a wide-ranging probe into the president's business dealings. And on Wednesday, Manafort's lawyer Kevin Downing didn't address the state charges during a brief statement to reporters following the sentencing. Downing's statement: Trump told reporters on Wednesday that he hadn't given a Manafort pardon any thought. White House spokesman: Trump also has the power to steer federal probes, but the developments in New York expose the limits of that power. Presidents can't issue a. The biggest New York threat so far to Trump and his children is the civil probe of the Manhattan-based Trump Organization, where they all held senior roles. New York Attorney Trump Organization spokeswoman Amanda Miller didn't respond to a request for comment on the subpoenas. The subpoenas were prompted by congressional testimony last month by Trump's former lawyer and fixer, Michael Cohen, who claimed that the Trump Organization had sometimes inflated the value of its assets on financial statements to get loans, or better rates on insurance. James also has a lawsuit pending against Trump's personal charitable foundation, which she claims broke state law repeatedly by spending donated funds on legal expenses for his business and political contributions. Trump, who, as for other people in Trump's orbit, the new charges against Manafort by the Manhattan District Attorney, Cyrus Vance Jr., show what may await others caught up in Mueller's probe. The Mueller investigation has focused on Russian efforts to interfere in the 2016 election and connections to Trump's campaign. But related lines: this. Braga said Manafort could still benefit from a presidential pardon, even with the new state charges filed, because he would no longer be jailed while he defends himself in New York, where he'd presumably get bail. The state charges also call attention to New York's double jeopardy law, which says an individual can't be prosecuted for two offenses that are based. Several so-called overt acts that surfaced as evidence in Manafort's bank and tax fraud trial in Virginia are referenced in Vance's indictment. They relate to New York lawmakers are also moving to close a loophole in the double jeopardy law that bars state prosecutors from bringing the same charges against an individual who's received a presidential pardon for federal crimes, according to the New York Law Journal. James has pushed, and even federal prosecutors based in New York pose a threat to Trump, notwithstanding oversight of the office from Washington by the president's ally, U.S. Attorney General William Barr. The office, with assistance by Greg Farrell.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.